Good afternoon, preppers. Listen, prepping obviously is always about being ready. And ready for what? Ready for all situations. It's not simply just stockpiling food and necessities, which of course is very important, but we always have to keep an eye on current events because the things that are happening will happen again. And time is short because understand that we can see the smallest of little hints of things that are coming and related to history, and understand that we have to prepare ourselves for these things. Because you know what? History, as we know, will repeat itself. Let's take a look at our first article. Arkansas City enforces emergency curfew after a rampage of shootings. Officials have struggled to handle violence that has already claimed one life. Here's a little poster they put on a window somewhere. Eudora, Arkansas are enforcing a mandatory emergency curfew because of what the city's mayor describes as a rampage of shootings. It's a little tiny town, fewer than 3,000 residents, but there's been more than 10 shootings according to the mayor, including one local person killed. The curfew goes from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., with exceptions only for employment and medical emergencies. Should you be caught during curfew hours, you'll be subject to being stopped and searched. Interesting. This is not people's houses getting shot in anymore. We have people actually dead on the street. One identified community member pleaded, "We need some extra help." Officials from the police department said their department faced some limitations, including limited staff, a budget described as peanuts, and outdated safety equipment and broken vehicles. And this action was by no means taken to violate any constitutional rights of any citizen, any business owner, any religious believer, or anyone traveling through the city of Eudora. And Butler asked, listen to this is home. And if you can't feel safe at home, then what are you doing? So how's the saying go? Feel free to give up your rights and freedoms for safety. You don't deserve those rights and freedoms in the first place. Something like that. But understand, the officials from the Eudora Police Department said that their department is facing limitations. I get that. These things are happening all over. Limited staff, small budget, small town, small police department. It's understandable. But think about this. Let's think of this logic. Right now, the 4 officers they have on staff can't get a handle on these shootings. So, this makes sense. Let's start a curfew. And now these 4 officers actually have to pull over every single car that's violating the curfew. Okay? It's not about catching the shooters. It's about controlling the population to hopefully temporarily stop the shootings. Because let's go ahead and say the curfew's in place. I think the criminal or criminals who are doing the shootings are smart enough not to go out during that time. And then after a week, a month, a year, when the curfew is lifted, they're free to go out and do whatever they need to again. It's not going to stop the situation. But let's take a look at the bigger picture. The mayor in this situation has suspended those people's Fourth Amendment rights. The Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure. They're just going to search any vehicle they feel like they need to after curfew. So before this curfew came into place, for them to pull you over, they had to have probable cause. They had to have a reason. This is the United States of America, and that was set up this way so we don't have the government infringing on us. And I'm not a lawyer, but the Fourth Amendment is pretty clear. The rights of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by the oath and affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Establishing this martial law, or in this case, obviously just a curfew, is not going against the criminals. It's going against all the innocent people. This is not a specific person affirmed by a warrant. Okay, it's not catching the criminal, but what it's doing is actually establishing draconian extreme measures. But you know what? It's not like recently we haven't seen draconian measures kicked in the first place. But you have to understand, when it comes to government's very simple. When they actually have extreme measures and take away the rights of the people, when the extreme measures are over, they never give them back. In fact, they usually look for the next extreme measures to be able to seize even more power. The infringements continue to worsen, and that's what historically has always happened. Today, it's a small town. This is not one mayor acting out of the best interest of the people. It's a test bed. It's an experiment. Let's see what happens, because the outcome of this situation will clearly actually show what's going to happen in the near future for the rest of us. Tell me, how is the government going to react when the economy collapses and suddenly there's violence spread across the country? We've already been seeing violence. We're not talking about a small town of 3,000 people anymore, but now a country of 350 million people. Curfew and martial law will become the norm. And that's how freedom disappears, one little infraction at a time. Because make no mistake, you need to be ready because it is coming.